guys, we need to talk, okay? There are some things about the Thunder Hollow Demolition Derby diecasts that I've wanted to get off my chest for quite a while now. Which is why I'm making a video on it. Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another video and to another Cheetor Reviews tie discussion. Today, I'm going to be going over some issues I have with the Thunder Hollow Demolition Derby diecasts. I don't really have any specific problems with the cars themselves. Instead, I've got a few issues with the releases of them. You see, year after year, ever since 2017 when Cars 3 first came out, we've just been getting Demolition Derby cars re-released. Now this year in 2021, we got far less than in years past, but before this year, we were just getting an absolute ton every year. Just a bunch of miscellaneous Demolition Derby cars re-released every single year, and I don't really know if people really care all that much, quite frankly. Now, as this is a discussion video, I really want to hear from you guys in the comments, of course, not just about this, but about anything I bring up in the video, because I really want to know what you guys think. But year after year, I never really hear people talking much about, like, oh, these Demolition Derby re-releases, or whatever. You know, people talk about the Thailand re-releases of the next gens, or the even like the main characters, but never really the Demolition Derby cars. They're not usually really peg warmers, although there definitely have been some Demolition Derby cars that I feel like I always see. I feel like they aren't really peg warmers compared to some of the other characters, but I just feel like people don't really seem to care about them all that much. I've been doing suggestion reviews for years on my channel. I have rarely ever gotten any suggestions for Demolition Derby cars, and when I do, the video usually ends up not really doing all that well in terms of views. In fact, my review on Miss Fritter for my 25 Days of Suggestions last year was probably the least viewed review that I've made in all of 2020. And honestly, I think that people not really caring about these Demolition Derby cars stems from one root issue. And this is something that's bothered me since 2017. In 2017, Mattel released every single one of the Demolition Derby racers except for one, Fair Game, who was meant to be released in 2017, but got canned and moved to 2020. He was canceled in 2017 and was made in 2020 finally. In fact, Fair Game was probably the only next gen I really heard any discussion about online, since, you know, he was the one guy that was missing that everyone wanted to see released. And I feel like Mattel releasing all of the Demolition Derby cars in 1 year within the span of just like 3 or 4 months of each other, honestly, because they all came out within like the same few waves, I think that is the root issue of why people don't really seem to care that much about Demolition Derby cars now being re-released year after year after year. Take a look at the next gens. People stayed hyped about the next gens for a very long time because people wanted to complete their collections of them. They're all very interesting cars and people wanted to get all of them. And Mattel just released a few every year and that really kept up the hype. Everyone wanted the next gens. Everyone wanted to see who they'd release next. I feel like if Mattel had spaced out the releases of the Demolition Derby cars more, then people would just care about them more, and we wouldn't be stuck in the position we are now where they were all released in 1 year, and now year after year we're just stuck getting a bunch of re-releases of the same characters time and time again. I think that if Mattel had spread out the Demolition Derby car releases, not just having them come out in 2017, maybe, you know, releasing most of them in 2017, but then releasing a few in 2018 and maybe wrapping it up in 2019, I think things just would have been better and people would care a bit more about the Demolition Derby cars. Now, last year, they actually re-released these guys, the Walmart Demo Derby line. You see, in 2017, there was an entire line of rubber tires Demolition Derby cars who got their first ever non-rubber tires released last year. I think that was a good thing, since those were characters being re-released for the first time who were previously pretty rare, allowing people to get them for the first time. And again, last year we got Fair Game as well, but still, I think getting all of the Thunder Hollow cars at once really sort of just, I think it just sort of killed the hype for future releases, you know? They all came out in 1 year. Now what are we supposed to look forward to? Well, in 2019, we could look forward to the Demolition Derby crowd members being released. You know, they had different cars from the audience, but they haven't done that since. In 2020, we were looking forward to Fair Game. But now Fair Game is out. Now we officially have all of the Derby racers. So, now what? Honestly, I really would like a break from the Demolition Derby cars. I honestly don't get why they're released year after year at this point, especially when they're just re-releases. Of course, we have that for the World Grand Prix characters, but those are some of the main characters of Cars 2. Sure, a lot of them don't speak, but I'd say the World Grand Prix racers are definitely a lot more significant than the Demolition Derby racers. And I feel like year after year, Miss Fritter, Dr. Damage, and RV just crowd up the deluxe waves. You know, one of the deluxe cases for this year, deluxe cases, by the way, for those of you who don't know, have 6 cars in them. Half of a deluxe case this year was just Miss Fritter, RV, and Dr. Damage. And the other 3 were Red, the Leroy Traffic with snow tires re-release, and the Mater with the new hats from this year. Half of that wave was just the Demolition Derby cars. Now, that could have been handled differently if they decided to space them out more. You know, I think there were about 3 or so, 3 or so deluxe waves in 2021. If we'd put Miss Fritter in one, RV in one, and Dr. Damage in one, then I think that would have been much better, but that's not what we got. Now, yes, they do change up which Demolition Derby cars we have every year, which is nice, but still, we always get Miss Fritter, and we always get more than one Demolition Derby Deluxe. And especially nowadays, since the Thailand switchover, we really haven't been getting as many Deluxes. Having so many Deluxes a year just be the Demolition Derby Deluxes time and time again, which is Miss Fritter, RV, Dr. Damage, Mr. Drippy, and Roscoe is a Deluxe ever since 2018 when they updated him. I just find it kind of annoying to see not only them re-releasing the same Demolition Derby cars time and time again, but especially the Deluxes just always being out. And in the case of the Deluxes, it really hinders them from making other Deluxes. If we didn't have Miss Fritter, Dr. Damage, and RV as a Deluxe every year, or Miss Fritter, Mr. Drippy, and Roscoe, or whatever combination of them, we had Fritter, Drippy, and Roscoe last year, then we could be getting a bunch of different Deluxes. We could be getting new Deluxes. We could be getting long-awaited re-releases. But instead, we just keep getting the Demolition Derby cars again and again, and people really just don't seem to care about them. But those are just my thoughts, and I would absolutely love to hear what you guys have to say. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you think people would care more about the Demolition Derby cars if they hadn't been released all at once? Do you think that they should skip a year of Demolition Derby cars? Like, if 2022 didn't have any Demolition Derby cars, how would you feel about that? Do you think, how do you think the Demolition Derby cars should be released? Do you think we should get them so frequently? Do you think we shouldn't? Let me know in the comments. And honestly, I don't know where we're going to be going next with the Demolition Derby cars. I'd assume they'll continue to keep on releasing them as they have, but I hope that we at least get some new Demolition Derby related cars like we did in 2019 when we got some of the fans. I'd love to get more of those, and I'd love to get the Demolition Derby pitties with the mud tires, and I would especially like to get the Demolition Derby announcer. The fact that that guy still isn't out, I really don't get it, and he's an obvious Demolition Derby themed car that I really think they should make. But once again, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.